Well, guys, we made it. The last episode of Batwoman. For now. And as the clock was ticking down, they had to know that. They had to. Your ratings are embarrassing, your demos are in the toilet, even compared to Season 2, and your writers are working on a Gotham Knights project now. Going in, Caroline Dries and her team of slack-jawed cud chewers that have been masquerading as writers for the last 3 years must have known that their chances for a Season 4, even on the CW, were unlikely. So, with no renewal on the horizon, and your next stop on the Boulevard of Suck being the unemployment line, how do you finish off this raging 3-year trash fire? How do you end it? Do you throw up your hands and give one final FU to the small handful of people who are still watching, even if it's only to roast you for what an awful job you've done? Or do you roll up your sleeves and try to salvage something from this fiasco so you can at least go out on anything resembling a good note? Well, if you're Caroline Dries, I can sum up how you end it with just 2 words. That's it. Let's do this. Well, I'll give them this much. I thought they were saving the worst for last, and turns out they didn't. What did happen was even more fitting, though, because we've officially come full circle, people. Batwoman ends the same way it began, with an episode that certainly wasn't good, but wasn't really bad enough to be offensive either. It was just a whole lot of nothing. And I find it really ironic that the title of this episode was, Are We Having Fun Yet? Because someone having fun requires them to actually show up. And nobody, I mean nobody, showed up for this thing. This might very well have been the most blatantly, nakedly, half-assed hour of television in the history of the Arrowverse. It really does come off like everybody from the producers all the way down to the PAs had one foot out the door before the episode was even made. And it wasn't even that they didn't try to be good. That's the crazy thing. They were so utterly checked out at this point, they didn't even try to be bad. If I had to guess, I'd say the behind-the-scenes process had Caroline Dries on her phone trying to see how much more money she could milk out of the production company when she realized that they didn't have a finale script yet, so she was like, oh, shit, I've got to write something, don't I? Okay. Marcus is evil, Ryan stops him, lesbians, the end. There, go shoot that. Now, Mr. Berlanti, about my end-of-the-year bonus. They didn't really try to inject their identity politics or hammer their feminist propaganda bullshit into it because that would require effort. And it was clearly taking every ounce of effort they had left just to fill 60 minutes of screen time here. That's why, in a weird way, this wasn't nearly as painful as I thought it would be. Compared to some of the other episodes this season, this was fairly easy to get through. And thank God for that, because those last couple episodes almost killed me. But enough dilly-dally, the Batman is right around the corner, and I'd like to get this crap out of the way so I can go enjoy that. So let's get this over with, shall we? The episode begins with Marcus walking through an old abandoned amusement park. He goes into the House of Mirrors and opens up a secret room, and then we flash back to that day on the school bus where just before the Joker buzzed Marcus, he whispered something in his ear. And apparently, what the Joker whispered was the entire evil plan he was hatching to destroy Gotham City and the exact location of the weapon he was going to use to do it. What? Why on earth would the Joker tell this to a 7-year-old kid? Because if he didn't, then the episode couldn't happen, that's why. There was no other reason to do it. Maybe the writers could have thought of a reason, but again, thought requires effort. And there was absolutely none of that left. It's like, well, how do we connect these plot points narratively? The Joker told Marcus some shit. Moving on. Wait a minute. The Joker just told him? That doesn't make any sense. Why would the Joker even... Hey, I'm trying to enjoy my nap over here. Cut to Arkham, an asylum for the criminally insane filled with rapists, murderers, and psychopaths who seem to break out of that place on a semi-regular basis, and in walks Mary wearing shiny, skin-tight vinyl pants. She looks like a hooker in a doctor's coat. And sure, I don't expect Mary to not act like a twat at this point, but for f***'s sake, do you understand that some of the male inmates have probably barely seen a woman in years? What the hell was your thought process when you got dressed this morning? Especially since the security at Arkham is canonically the drizzling shits. Case in point, Mary happens upon a power cord running into Alice's cell, which isn't even locked by the way, with no guards around anywhere. Mary just waltzes right in and finds Alice shocking her own skull with some electrical something or other. And weirdly enough, in context, that's actually a smart thing to do. Think about it. The Joker's joy buzzer is a magical on-off switch for craziness just by doling out an electric shock, so it stands to reason that another electric shock would do the same thing, right? I mean, it's dumb as hell, but that's what the story is. So it makes sense that Alice would think this might work. But it doesn't. And Alice is just an inconsolable sobbing mess that running an electrical charge through her brain isn't taking the crazy away. I know, right? And it seemed like such a sure thing, too. Mary has had the idea to send Alice to a sanitarium in Switzerland that specializes in childhood trauma. Not sure what good that's going to do when Alice's main problem is that she was hypnotized into taking on the persona of a psychotic madwoman, but I guess it's something. But Alice will have none of it. She's done with institutions and she shoves Mary up against the wall, sobbing that she just wants out. Once again, Rachel Scarston is the one and only member of the cast on give a shit duty here. Everybody else absolutely sleepwalks through this episode. And unfortunately, that backfires on Rachel. Because when she's the only one who's trying in a story that was utterly ill-conceived to begin with, so this moment wasn't properly built up to, it starts to feel like she's overacting because she's emoting up a storm and everybody else is like, pfft, whatever. Can I get my paycheck now? Cut to Ryan's apartment, where Ryan is explaining to Team Batwoman her incredibly well thought out, intricate, brilliant plan to take Marcus down. She's going to lure him in and buzz him with the joy buzzer. That's the plan. So Mary comes in, and she's still got that soapbox, so damn it, she's gonna use it. And she's like, yeah, that could be a thing, but I think we should use the buzzer on Alice instead. Sure, Alice is confined to Arkham right now, whereas Marcus is free, has tons of money and resources, access to the Batcave, is the much more pressing and dangerous threat, and is also the only one that we're sure the buzzer will even work on, but I still think we should use it on Alice, because if I'm not acting like a twat in every single scene, then why the f*** am I even here? Mary tries to bullshit her way through this, but she has no argument, so when that doesn't work, she tries to guilt everybody into doing what she wants. A few weeks ago, you all apologized to me and assured me that I'd have a voice on this team. Well, this is me using my voice. This is what I want. So, give it to me. The writers seem to genuinely have no idea what a spoiled brat Mary comes off as when she gets like this. Or if they do have an idea, they don't care. Or they just honestly think that's the way it should be. Mary's confusing having a voice with getting whatever the hell I want whenever the hell I want because, and if she doesn't get it, that means someone else is being the asshole, not her. And sure enough, her friends realize that they are indeed being the assholes, so Ryan goes to Arkham to consider giving Alice the buzzer. But before Ryan leaves, they, along with everyone else in the city, get an IM from Marcus telling them to get outside, climb up on their cars and rooftops and whatnot, because in 5 hours, he's going to reveal Batwoman's secret identity, which the news lady points out would be such a horrible thing that would be the end of business as usual for the Caped Crusader, because Batwoman's anonymity is the key to her own safety and those of her loved ones. Oh really? So Batwoman's anonymity is really important all of a sudden? Well, that's pretty weird, because it sure wasn't important in season 1 when Batwoman did a photo shoot and interview in a major metropolitan magazine where she revealed personal details about herself. It wasn't important in last week's episode when she took her mask off right in front of a woman who could have gone straight to the nearest news outlet and told them her identity for all she knew. It wasn't important then, but it's important now? Why? Writers, you can't keep pulling this shit. I just used the plot says so meme like a minute ago. I can't just use it again. What the hell? So Jada walks in, and they tell her about Marcus using the tech in the Batcave to hijack the airwaves, but Jada's a woman, so she has access to technology that makes the Batcave look like a puddle of puke. So she gets on the horn and tells her own tech people to trace the signal. You'd think it really shouldn't be that easy, but anything harder would require effort. So it is. Jada wants all this dealt with pronto so they can find Marcus and buzz him, but thanks to Mary, there's a little snafu when it comes to that. Cut to Arkham, where Ryan's asking Alice why she deserves the buzzer. And this remains powerfully stupid because narratively, there's no reason to believe the buzzer would even work on Alice, except the writers telling us with no proof whatsoever that this is what would happen. Now, strangely, in the scene with Mary, which wouldn't have taken place more than an hour ago at most, Alice was a sobbing, inconsolable, barely coherent mess, and now she's her normal self seeming perfectly fine, which isn't really helping the overacting issue from earlier. Alice accuses Ryan of being biased toward Marcus just because he's family, and yeah, she's not fucking wrong about that, Ryan. And she also raises the question of, what if you buzz Marcus, but then he just decides that he's happy being evil and crazy? Which is a good point. Marcus got buzzed at the age of 7. Even if the buzzer works on him now, he would have virtually no memory of not being a sociopath. Do you remember much of your life when you were younger than 7? I don't. Even if his love and empathy were turned on again, those feelings would be completely alien to him now. Realistically, even if he could feel them again, he'd have no idea what to do with them. It seems to me, best case scenario, Marcus still winds up an absolute goddamn psychological mess. You at least ought to consider that maybe this is just who Marcus is now. That is to say, it's something they'd consider on a show that was trying. But this show isn't doing that. So the very valid point Alice just made is written off by Ryan as Alice just being desperate and never mentioned again. But hey, we killed another 60 seconds of screen time, so good for us. So Ryan thinks this was a big waste of her time and starts to leave, but Alice stops her by admitting that she doesn't deserve the buzzer. But she does have one little tidbit that Ryan might need to know to survive the next few hours. And that tidbit is that Marcus has a big old man crush on the Joker, because of course he does. And also, Mr. J told Marcus all about his evil plan to punish anyone who worships the bat symbol by killing a whole bunch of people and leaving Gotham riddled with survivors as ugly as him. I guess the Joker told Marcus the plan and turned him evil as a contingency so Marcus could carry out the plan in case Batman murdered the Joker before he could do it? Well, you can't say Joker wasn't thinking ahead, right? Cut to the Bat Gay Bar, where Jada's having all sorts of big, heavy computer equipment moved in, instead of just bringing Team Batwoman to wherever the big, heavy computer equipment was before. Seems like that would have been a lot quicker, but what do I know? Is there nowhere more private that they could be doing this? Move the gear away from the fucking windows at least! Jesus! Luke remarks that Jada's gear makes the Batcave look like it runs on a hamster wheel. Because the Batcave, am I right? No comic fans are tuning into this Batman-related show to see that stupid thing. So now that they're equipped by a strong, powerful woman, they very quickly track Marcus's signal to something flying very slowly over the city, and Luke realizes, to his horror, that Marcus has found the Bat Blimp. Oh yeah. That's a thing now. You know how in Batman 89, Bruce had that tricked out fighter plane shaped like a bat? How sleek and badass it was? Or in The Dark Knight Rises, where he had that really cool aerial craft that was like the Tumbler, but better because it could fly, and he saved the city with it? Well, those movies really missed out, because Tim Burton and Christopher Nolan do not know the awesomeness of the Bat Blimp. What is this? Was Bruce afraid that the Riddler might one day try to escape by air very, very slowly? Did he want to be able to go head-to-head in the event that the Penguin commandeered the Goodyear Blimp, or Mr. Freeze built himself a replica of the Hindenburg? I guess Batman really does plan for everything, doesn't he? You know, it's not just that they wrote Bat Blimp into the script in the first place, but the actors play it as serious as a fucking heart attack. Shark-repellent bat spray was deemed stupid, but now we must all rise in awe of the sheer unadulterated badassery of the Bat Blimp. I got nothing. So Ryan walks in and tells them that in 1 hour, Marcus will be dropping acid bombs on the city. 1 hour. So that means Ryan was talking to Alice for 4 hours straight. Unless she stopped for lunch on the way back from Arkham or something. What a fantastic use of her time. But don't worry, everybody. It's all gonna be okay because Ryan has another plan. But according to her, there's no time for details. There was time for her to jaw-jack with Alice for 4 goddamn hours, but going over the details of the plan with the people who will have to implement said plan? No time for that. Part of the plan involves Luke hacking the Bat-Blimp's controls, which he isn't even sure he can do, and directing it to the GCPD rooftop. And the second part involves Sophie and Mary putting their brains together to find a way to get all the innocent people off the street to somewhere safe. Putting their brains together? There isn't enough brain activity between these two chuckleheads to run a nightlight. Well, here's an idea so crazy it just might work, Ryan. Go to the nearest media outlet, get on the fucking news, and tell everyone they're in danger. Or get a megaphone and just shout it from the rooftops. It's fucking Gotham. Crazy shit like this happens every other week. Trust me, they'll understand. But that wouldn't eat up enough screen time, so instead, Mary has the idea to use the Bat trophies, which Marcus can't get to because the trophy room can't be accessed without Batwoman's DNA. The trophy room has a DNA lock and can't be accessed. Accessing the Batcave itself, though, that's a piece of cake. You know, guys, it seems to me that a lot of the problems you're currently facing could have been very easily avoided if you just put one of those DNA locks on the Batcave entrance. Or, you know, any security measures whatsoever on the Batcave entrance? That might have been a useful thing to have, seeing as how you've been in the habit of letting dangerous sociopaths hang out down there this season. Just a thought. Sophie wonders how they can even get into the Batcave since Marcus has probably doubled security since her and Batwing got busted breaking in before. And, so what if he did? Last time, you guys walked all over Marcus and his thugs so easily it was downright boring. Marcus has nothing that can stand up to the Batwing suit. As long as Luke is wearing that, you should be fine. And while we're on the subject, the Batwing suit can fly and gives Luke super strength. So why doesn't he just fly up to the Bat-Blimp and knock Marcus unconscious? Well, the actual reason is because if he did this, the episode would end half an hour early. The in-universe explanation is... well, there isn't one. It's never even brought up as a possibility. There is no explanation, which is why Luke just kind of disappears for most of the third act, because there comes a point where there's nothing left for him to do except put on the suit and fly off to the Bat-Blimp, but if he does that, then they would defeat Marcus very quickly and easily. But since the writers couldn't be bothered to come up with a reason for why Luke can't do this yet, instead he just vanishes for about 15 minutes. 15 minutes that you spend thinking, hey, if Batwing would get his ass up there, this would be over already. Where the hell is Batwing? It's not like he's doing anything fucking else right now. So yeah, they're not doing that. Because if they did, then Ryan couldn't be the hero. Instead, they waste more time with Ryan talking to Jada and Jada being pissed off because Ryan apparently gave away the buzzer to you-know-who, but Ryan placates her, saying that they're gonna get their family back, and all she needs to pull this off is for Jada to make a phone call and get Marcus fired from Wayne Enterprises. Did you know that was a thing that Jada could have done at any time but chose not to? Because it is. Jada thinks that could be difficult because Marcus is really smart and his accounting is bulletproof. He literally threw a party where he electrocuted a man to death in front of a crowd of people. But no, Marcus is super smart, you guys. A diabolical 4D chess-playing mastermind. You've never seen anyone cover their tracks like this dude. Basically, they can't get Marcus on the money. Plan A is out. So Plan B is to just tell everyone that he's a murdering sociopath. That is some super shrewd thinking there, ladies. What was Plan C? To have Marcus arrested for those murders he committed in the last episode? Damn, we just upgraded to 5D chess! Marcus had no idea what he was up against, did he? So with every other possible option off the table, Jada is finally left with no other choice but to hold Marcus responsible for his actions. It's a fate worse than death. She was hoping like hell she could avoid it. But here we are, holding the final straw. You would not think that they have 1 hour to stop Marcus from the way this scene plays out. There's no rush, no hurry, no sense of urgency whatsoever. Everyone's just calmly sitting around and talking. Maybe get off your butts and do something, assholes. The clock is ticking away here. Cut to the Bat Blimp, where Marcus gets a call from the Wayne CFO telling Marcus that he's been fired, and also that the DOJ is getting involved. BT dubs, the DOJ actually being good for something? Easily the most preposterous thing to happen in this episode, and that's saying a lot. Then Marcus turns on the TV, where the news is saying that Jada has revealed their family's dark secret, Marcus's father's death from a fall 3 years ago is suddenly in question, and the Wayne Board of Directors has fired him and reinstalled Ryan as CEO. Jada accomplished all this with a phone call off-screen. It was hysterically, pathetically easy. Never mind the fact that Jada has no evidence. She had evidence before, but it was destroyed, remember? So none of this makes any sense at all, but we're not about to start putting actual work into the show now, are we? So just like that, they're back in control of Wayne Enterprises. Sophie and Mary just saunter in immediately with no red tape or anything and head down to the Batcave. Then Luke, who stayed behind at the Bat Gay Bar, by the way, has to tell Mary over the comms how to use the Bat computer to do what Marcus did while Sophie screws around in the trophy room. She got past the DNA lock by putting on a fancy glove. Where'd she get the glove? Where'd the glove come from? Beats me. It was never a thing until this moment, and then it's never a thing again. Makes it easy. Luke hacks the Bat Blimp and steers it toward the GCPD where Ryan is waiting for it. Does this seem like a lot of unnecessary nonsense when Luke could have just put on the Batwing suit and flown him and Ryan up there? Yes it does. Marcus is getting pissed off now. He's lost control of the Bat Blimp, so he shoots his pilot dead, then shoots out the controls, which causes Luke to lose access, and the Bat Blimp starts moving away from the GCPD. I'm no blimp expert. I didn't major in blimpology in college or anything, but if they lost flight control, wouldn't the Bat Blimp just continue on the last inputted heading? Who cares? Not the writers, that's for damn sure. Ryan's able to grapple up to the Bat Blimp before it moves on. Now she's in the room with all the acid bombs, and she needs Sophie to tell her how to disarm them. Sophie says she can't. Ooh, sorry, Ryan. There's like tripwires or something on those things. I don't fucking know how to do this. So, surprise, surprise, Sophie is fucking useless. Meaning that the one and only thing she does in the entire episode is pull the Penguin's umbrella out of the trophy room. A trained monkey could have done that, and it wouldn't even have to be well-trained. It's no wonder Sophie whines about her relationship with Ryan so much, because really, that's the only goddamn reason why she's even there. So Mary hacks Marcus's feed or whatever. They project a message to everyone in Gotham using the Penguin's umbrella to hypnotize all the people into getting to cover, and it works perfectly. So, no need to worry about that anymore, I guess. It's around this time that Luke has just disappeared. His job was over when he lost control of the Bat-Blimp. There's nothing else he can do from the Bat-Gay Bar. The one thing he can do is suit up, fly to the Bat-Blimp, and help Ryan. And yet, he doesn't. Because... screw it, one more time. So Ryan wants to try to reroute the Bat-Blimp over the ocean, but the controls are shot out, so that's a bust. And that's pretty much it for Ryan's brilliant, super awesome plan that there was no time to explain the details of, so they might be in a little trouble here. But Sophie says, "I'm not losing you, Ryan," and Ryan remarks that no one's ever said that to her before. Because if lesbians can't lesbian when there are millions of innocent lives hanging in the balance, when can they lesbian? Marcus confronts Ryan. There's about 5 minutes left on the clock at this point, and they have quite possibly the most half-assed fight scene in the history of this show. The choreography looks like it was slapped together on the fly by the actors, not the stunt team, if they even still have one, with zero prep time. It's broken up by bits where they stop fighting and just talk, and the actual fighting goes about 20 seconds max. Absolutely embarrassing stuff. Ryan demands that Marcus disarm the bombs. He says no, and naturally it ends with Ryan mounting Marcus and punching him in the face over and over. "Give me my brother back! I want Marcus back!" Get him back? How can you get him back, you jackass? You never had him in the first place! Finally, Marcus appears to give up and says he's sorry. He's obviously playing her, but Ryan's an idiot, so she believes him. So she stops hitting him, she helps him up, and then he's all, "I'm sorry you're so desperate for a family that you believe you can save me." And then he shoves the dummy out the window. That's the cliffhanger to lead us into an ad break. We know either Batwing is gonna catch her, or she'll just use the grapple gun or the hang glider cape, so Ryan's in no danger here. But that's the cliffhanger. Because Caroline Dries is like a high school senior on the day before graduation. What are they gonna do? Suspend me for not trying? So Ryan shoots the grapple gun, snags Marcus with it, yanks him out the window too, and pulls his parachute cord to save them both. They land on a rooftop. Ryan's knocked out for some reason. Why? I don't know. The parachute deployed, and the batsuit is so impact resistant that the person wearing it can get smashed through a brick wall, fall several stories without a parachute, and be pretty much fine afterward, but she's knocked out. Because drama. And her and Sophie need a moment to lesbian some more. Sophie's gotta buy Ryan dinner. Woohoo! It's only now that Batwing shows up and flies to the Bat-Blimp. Right after the nick of time. Great job, Luke. Where the hell were you for the last 15 minutes? There are close-up shots in this scene, and they're not even that close actually, where you can clearly see Luke's bare neck, and that the helmet doesn't even connect to this part of the suit. So the wardrobe department just didn't bother covering up his neck, and it's even more obvious than usual how f***ing cheap the suit is. The suits on Power Rangers look better than this. I'd be busting a gut laughing if I didn't feel so much secondhand embarrassment for the actor. So there's 2 minutes before the bombs go off, but the controls are still wrecked. So Luke has the idea that if he connects the Batwing AI to the controls, maybe the AI can fly the Bat-Blimp. Mary tries to talk him out of this. "But Luke, that's your dad," she says. Never mind the fact that millions of innocent Gotham citizens are gonna get covered in acid if he doesn't do this. Mary is less concerned about those people. So Luke's gonna need a new direction to take the Bat-Blimp in real quick. Not sure where the hell it could possibly fly to in the next 2 minutes, but he puts Sophie on that. Because I guess the trained monkey was on his lunch break. Back on the rooftop, Marcus attacks Ryan again. They both go over the ledge, and oh my god, the green screen in this shot is hysterically bad. My green screen is better, and my green screen looks like green ass. Now they're both hanging off the side of the building. Ryan's holding onto the ledge with one hand and holding on to Marcus with the other. He says she'll have to kill him or die herself, but she won't let go even as she's losing her grip. And then Alice appears. Bullshit! How the f*** did she know where they would be? How the f*** did she get there in time? Even if she was in on the plan, she couldn't have known that Marcus would shoot out the controls, sending the Bat-Blimp off in a new direction that would put it anywhere in the entire f***ing city. But nevertheless, here she is, and I guess it's really easy for her to show up when the writers don't even bother asking themselves any of those questions in the first place. Off! Then there's a flashback to Arkham at some point during the 4 hours Ryan was there, where Alice wants the buzzer to make the crazy go away, but Ryan looks at her and sees someone capable of change. Alice thinks she can't change on her own. Ryan says she just doesn't want to because it's hard, but if anyone can survive hard, it's Alice. And she gives Alice the buzzer, but says that deep down, Alice knows that she's not the one who needs it. What the flashback doesn't show us is the part where Ryan illegally broke Alice out of Arkham, because how the f*** else would she be here right now? So Alice passes the buzzer to Ryan as she pulls them up. Marcus attacks Ryan again. She buzzes him in the head. He goes down like a sack of potatoes, and that's it for our big bad. Whoop-de-doo. Back in the Bat Blimp, they've got a new problem because, stop me if you've heard this one, Sophie f***ed up. She came up with new coordinates, but she factored those in assuming the Bat Blimp would have 2 minutes to get there. She didn't account for the fact that the clock was, counting down from 2 minutes. They now have 20 seconds before the acid bombs go off, and Luke is still demanding new coordinates. They've already established that the Bat Blimp flies very slowly. Where it could possibly get to in 20 seconds, I have no idea, but Luke still wants coordinates. So finally, Sophie is like, oh, it, just go in that direction. It'll put you over the slums or something. I'm sure there's no one in that place we can't do without. So with the new coordinates laid in, Luke has a little chat with the Batwing AI. You inspired me to be a hero. Long pause. Thanks, Dad. I'm proud of you, son. You and your team will save a lot of lives tonight. At this point, the 20 seconds before the bombs go off expired like 30 seconds ago. This is the longest 20 seconds in the history of f***ing time. But the bombs have still not gone off for some reason, and Luke is still just sitting there talking, so finally the AI just tells the dumbass to get the hell out of there. So the Bat Blimp blows up right over all the poor, impoverished, homeless, and underprivileged Gotham citizens who live in its most desolate area, so f*** the underclass, I guess. There's another moment where they try to make us scared because maybe Luke didn't make it out, but then, oh, never mind, he's perfectly fine. He lands in an alley. There's a little kid there who got separated from his mom, so Luke calmly kneels down next to him, tells the kid he'll help him find his mom, and introduces himself as Batwing. Meanwhile, there's acid raining down from the sky right above them. Hey Luke, maybe wait to introduce yourself until after you get the kid somewhere safe. Maybe get the kid indoors before his face melts off, and then you can tell him what your f***ing name is? God damn it! Cut to the illegal underground abortion clinic. Jada can afford the finest hospitals and doctors in the world, but f*** that noise, they brought Marcus to the clinic, so they don't have to build a new set, I guess. Marcus's vitals are fine, but they won't know if the buzzer actually worked until he wakes up. And in the event that the buzzer didn't work, they have taken extreme precautions by not restraining Marcus in any way. Look, the prop master already went home and we don't have handcuffs anymore, alright? God, get off our backs already. I mean, what were you expecting from this season finale? Competence? So Jada validates Ryan. Ryan exceeded her wildest dreams, blah blah blah, and she can't change the past, but maybe they can build a better future. Assuming Jada isn't in prison for spending years concealing the fact that her son was a murdering sociopath. Then Marcus wakes up, and he appears to be back to normal now that his love and empathy have been turned on. Sure, he could be faking it again, but they don't consider that because this way is easier. Alice left Mary a note saying that she's going away to find herself, and then we see Alice looking like Beth again as she walks off through the sewer. There's something poetic about that, just not the way the writers thought. Later on, Ryan and Sophie are hanging out in Bruce's office. Ryan's in the bat suit with her mask off, and the doors to the office are open. Not unlocked, mind you, open. Maybe be a little more careful with your secret identity, seeing as how the plot of this episode was literally about a villain threatening to reveal it? Jesus f***ing Christ. Any Wayne employee could just walk by the doorway and see her in the bat suit, but the writers don't give a shit. They didn't give a shit when Batwoman was doing this for the first 2 seasons. Why would they start now? Then, in the most shocking twist of the season, Sophie wants to talk about their relationship. So they start lesbianing, but they get cock-blocked again when Mary and Luke walk in through the open office doors. Ryan starts talking about fixing whatever Marcus did to f*** up the Batcave. Sophie wonders if Batwoman ever takes a night off, and of course the answer's no because it's f***ing Gotham, and Ryan says, let's get to work. And the season ends at the Blimp crash site. If Ryan wants to get to work, helping the poor people whose lives were destroyed when the Blimp rained acid on them would be a good start. I mean, she literally said when she was laying out the plan that nobody dies tonight, but she doesn't seem to be in a big hurry to make sure that nobody died. Weird, huh? There's flaming debris all over the place. The news lady is doing a report wearing a hazmat suit when all of a sudden, her and the cameraman are attacked by skeletons. Not zombies, but walking, poorly CG'd skeletons. Apparently, when the acid rained down on the people in that area, it melted all their flesh off, but somehow left their skeletons alive, and now the skeletons are wreaking havoc. To be continued in a potential season 4 that, if there's a god in this universe or the next, will never, ever, ever happen. And that's it. That was the big finale. Are you f***ing kidding me? This was so half-assed, I'm astonished they even remembered to roll the cameras. It was a truly pathetic ending to a truly pathetic season, and if this was the best they could do on their way out the door, then it's an indictment on how truly pathetic this entire series has been. I suppose I should be grateful. I'll take half-assed over agonizing any day, and we actually did reach so bad it's funny territory once or twice here, but it's very telling about the piss-poor quality of this season-long tsunami of shit that counts as a step up. I don't know what I could possibly say about this season that I haven't said already. Everything was fucking unbearable. They generated a little bit of interest with Poison Ivy, but they couldn't ruin that fast enough. Anything fun, dynamic, or even interesting about the character was stripped away so her and Montoya could be reduced to Lesbian 1 and Lesbian 2. Calling Marcus a bargain basement knockoff Joker would be an insult to bargain basement knockoffs. Sophie spent the whole season whining about her relationship with Ryan. Ryan spent the whole season whining about her mom. Mary ascended to god-tier levels of cringe and became such a despicable character even Kate Kane would be impressed. Luke became Batwing, so basically his character arc stopped at the end of season 2 and spent this whole season just going around in circles. Alice decided that she didn't want to be Alice anymore, which could have been something if the writing hadn't been so shit. Bless Rachel Skarsten's heart, she put the effort in, but she was the only one. The entire narrative of the season was an unfocused mess, and the only thing that might rank this above seasons 1 and 2 at the end of the day is that it was shorter. Thank Christ. But there was one positive here. And I don't mean a positive about the show, I mean it made me feel positive about the show's chances of getting canceled. And that positive is that this really felt like an ending. Not just for the season, but for the whole series. They got Wayne Enterprises back. Ryan has a family now. Her and Sophie are DTS. Luke has become Batwing. Alice is going off to find whatever it was that she lost. And Mary got to escape any and all consequences for those 2 murders she committed. And sure, there's still 1 or 2 loose ends. Jacob continues to rot in prison for aiding and abetting Alice, while Alice gets to walk free. I guess he'll just be there forever because Jacob, but aside from that, what else is there? Everything has been wrapped up, except for the walking skeletons, but CGing those things would take, effort and stuff. So you might as well just end it there, really. I mean, how long can you possibly sodomize the Batwoman IP before it just gives up? That's what this finale felt like. In the end, everyone just gave up. They didn't try to make it good. They didn't try to make it bad. They didn't try, period. If ever there was a final nail in the coffin for the CW's Batwoman and an ugly, ugly reminder of why this network is up for sale, this was it. And look, you guys, I don't know if this will turn out to be the last episode or not. It sure as hell felt like the writers thought it was their last episode. It could still get renewed, I guess, but God only knows how horrific their pilot season must look if that possibility is still on the table. The show could potentially return in the future, and we'll cross that bridge if and when we come to it, but at least for now, Batwoman appears to be finally, mercifully, done. Yes! 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 It's Christmas in March, guys. Christmas in March. I want to thank each and every one of you who have watched my Batwoman videos for the last 3 seasons. You guys helped my channel get from here to here, which, among other things, has helped me pay my rent. That was pretty cool of you. But please stick around, because I'm not going anywhere. I'll be back soon with more fun stuff. But for right now, I'm gonna go celebrate, because this hellish ordeal is now finished. F this show, f these writers, f Batwoman, and to you, Caroline Dries, the woman ultimately responsible for 3 unholy, godforsaken seasons of the worst TV show I have ever seen. I have just one last thing to say.